Building our dream home in the village was one of the best decisions that we have ever done, but it came with a hefty price because of some of the mistakes that we did. Today I'm going to share a few of those mistakes with you, and hopefully it will help you to prevent those mistakes, or maybe it will help you to save a little bit of money and do things better to avoid this mistake. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Mama Haudipela, and today we are talking expensive mistakes that we made in this house. Hopefully this video is going to help one of you if you're in the process of building, or you want to renovate, or you are busy in the process planning what to do with your home. I hope you don't repeat any of these mistakes that I have made. I will take you through the different spaces in my home and show you the mistakes that we made, how we've corrected them, and how we plan to correct the ones that we haven't corrected yet. It's all a learning process. No one is perfect. I'm not a professional in this. I am learning as I go in my home, and mistakes are always bound to happen. And as long as we can find a way to fix them and learn from them, and therefore share with you guys that you don't do the same mistakes that I did. So, the first thing that I am going to talk about is the one thing that has cost us the most amount of money in this house, and it is my beautiful fireplace. I'm saying it is beautiful right now because it has gone through three different changes. Initially, the first mistake that we made was we went ahead with uh, finishing the fireplace when we did not have a final idea of how we wanted it to be. When we first did our fireplace, it was kind of plain with a slab in front. And I think it was like that because I just couldn't put my finger on what actually I wanted to do with the fireplace. So if you don't have the final idea down, just leave it as a blank space, just leave it as an unfinished space instead of doing something that you are unsure of, that you do not love, and something that will cost you money. And I think the second mistake that we did with the fireplace is not getting the right people to advise us on the type of material to use. So when we redid the fireplace the second time, we used the same slab that we used the first time, which was a quartz slab, and quartz is not suitable for high heat like a fireplace. We've got a wood burning fireplace, and this thing produces a whole lot of heat. It heats up the whole entire house, like this whole living space, even up to the passage. You can feel the heat in the home. So when we replaced the first fireplace and did the second one, we discovered that, you know what, it's not going to withstand the heat. So we eventually decided to do it the third and hopefully final time. The last time when we did the fireplace, we replaced the quartz with a porcelain. Porcelain has high heat tolerance, so that will probably last us for a very long time until we decide to change it. And when we replaced the fireplace with the porcelain, I just made sure that I had the final design that I wanted. I went and asked the supplier of the material on how to best use it in the house instead of getting it from fabricators. If you get the information from fabricators, they just want to get the money sometimes, and they don't care about how the products behaves or how the product is in your house. And you need to be careful on who you get your advice from. So, and when we did it the last time, it cost us a lot of money, which probably is almost 50K just to replace this whole fireplace and redo it. So yeah, the next time you think about doing a fireplace, make sure you get all the information that you need. The second mistake that I'm going to talk about is the one thing that I love so much in my home, but it almost gave me heart palpitations. So when we decided on picking flooring for this house, we did not want to put in tile. And the only area in our living area that's got tile is our kitchen. And that is because I did not want to have the edging strip that you have to put around your kitchen cabinet, because when you do kitchens, you do not put your kitchen cabinets on top of laminate. So this edging strip is what I was trying to avoid. And you obviously can have it match the cabinet color, or you can have it match the flooring color, or as we have it in here, we have it in white because all of us getting in the house is white. But if we had done it at the same time when we did the kitchen, I would have preferred for the edging strip to be the same color as the cabinet. That way we don't have this three color situation. So that is why I ended up not going with laminate in the kitchen in our village home, and opted to do a tile and the laminate on the side of the living room, just in case there is repairs that you need to do, or there is like a water leakage and all of those things. Then you can repair the flooring without touching your cabinets. Using that very same logic, I should have thought about the same thing when it came to the rest of the house. Another reason why you don't put cabinets on top of laminate is because laminate expands and contracts due to temperature changes. So you need to have that allowance for it to do that. And with cabinets on top of it, it will not be able to breathe, and therefore will cause it to bubble. And but I wasn't paying attention when it came to the living spaces. And the one day when we came home and I realized that the laminate was starting to bubble, I almost died. Just the thought of having to replace the laminate in this whole entire space. We are talking over 100 square meters. So you can imagine the amount of money when it comes to replacing 100 square meters of laminate and having to think about putting in tile. I almost cried thinking about the fact that now I have to go and find another tile. And on top of that, we already have tile in the kitchen. So if I put in another tile, it's going to be a tile that is different from what I already have in the kitchen. And I did not want to be in a position where I have two different tiles in the same space. I don't mind having a laminate and a tile, but the idea of having a tile and a tile that don't go together in the same space was just driving me crazy. So, what mistake did we make? When we did our floors, I always knew that we were going to do laminate. But when we redid our fireplace, we put the slab for the floor, which protects the laminates from any, coal or any like wood that may come out of the fireplace when you open the door. We put a slab of porcelain on the floor to protect our floors. So when we put the slab on the laminate, it prevented the laminate from releasing the air when it expands and relaxes due to weather changes. So we ended up with flooring that was starting to bubble right next to the fireplace. And where we have the partition or that divider over there, that is also placed on top of the laminate. So when the laminate expands, in my thinking, I just thought as long as it can expand, it can breathe this way is fine. But I didn't know that laminates expands this way and also this way, right? So we had enough space to allow it to breathe this way, but because now it's compressed at the top, there isn't space for it to expand in this direction. So it started to bubble. Oh my God, I almost cried when I saw it. But luckily, the guys who installed our flooring were able to remedy that. We ended up doing a cut on the side, and that allowed the laminates to now relax a little bit. We didn't think it was going to work because of we actually needed to do a cut as well on this side along the partition that we have over there. But we ended up not doing that because it wasn't such a big space and it was just too far, a little bit far from that partition. So it allowed the laminate to eventually relax, and now it is fine. And around the fireplace as well, we ended up doing a cut along where the slab is and putting in an edging around there, and that allowed the laminate to relax. And crisis was averted, and we didn't have to replace the flooring. Guys, I was so relieved when I walked in here yesterday. The first thing that Mohau said was, "Mommy, the floor is no longer bouncy." And I didn't even believe that it was true when I went there and I stepped on it and it was back to normal. I was like, oh. What I will tell you is that laminates are not made equal. We have a laminate flooring in our Joburg home. That flooring has been flooded a few times by the washing machine, and we have never had any problems with it because it is an expensive laminate. What you pay you with laminate you get what you pay for. This laminate, I can tell you the price was half the price of the laminate that we have in Joburg, even though it's a good product, but it is not the same quality as the one that we have there in Joburg. And I have learned my lesson. So I think the next flooring that I'm going to do is probably not going to be a cheap laminate. If it's a laminate, it will have to be an expensive laminate, and or it will have to be a solid or engineered hardwood tile. I don't ever see myself putting in a tile flooring in living spaces because I am constantly cold, and I struggle to get warm when there is tile everywhere. So yeah, laminate was one crisis that we were able to escape for now. Unless something comes up, and then we might have to replace the entire laminate in the house, but that would have been an expensive exercise. So the lesson learned here is do not place any permanent heavy material on top of your laminate, like your slabs or your furniture or your cabinets or anything that has to be sitting there on top of the laminate and not allowing it to expand is definitely a no. Right. Now let's talk shower screens. In my home, I have two bathrooms that have a shower screen and not a fully enclosed shower. Shower screens are a nightmare. So these glasses, it doesn't matter how big they are. One of the glasses in my house is 1.5 meters. The smallest is 1.2 meters. You can imagine if you've got one that is like 900 millimeters, less than a meter, how much water is going to be splashing outside of the shower. What we always think about is that the water comes from the shower head and it goes down the drain. That is not the problem. The problem is the water that hits the body and sprays outside of the shower while you're busy showering and you're splashing yourself in there. One of the bathroom is fine. The gray bathroom is fine because behind where the shower screen is a solid wall that is very close to the shower glass. But in the green bathroom, right outside the shower space is a toilet. So, which means that water from the shower will spray on that side and it doesn't have a wall to hit against and come back into the shower, as is the case with the other bathroom. So, in this space, we are looking to replace the shower screen with a full shower enclosure, and the size of that shower is not a standard size. So, replacing that shower is going to be expensive because of the custom glass that will have to be created to close that shower. And while we are still on the issue of showers, I will tell you about my bathroom shower. My bathroom is a 1.4 by 2.4 meter shower. One mistake that we did in there is doing it as a full glass everywhere. What we could have done is to have a solid wall dividing the toilet space and the shower. That way, we only have to enclose the front part of the shower, which is something that I would have loved, but we opted to do a full glass. Doing a full glass enclosure, cleaning it for me is not a problem because you guys know by now that I don't mind cleaning. It's not a problem. The problem is the cost. When I got the quotation for the glass, I thought I was dreaming. I opened the quotation and it cost us, guys, when I tell you that it cost us 20K just for the glass, you will not believe it. But because the shower was already done, there was nothing that we could do. I think my heart was already set on doing a full glass shower, and we had to go ahead with the decision, and that was an expensive exercise. So, if you're planning to do a big shower, remember put as much brick walls as possible, and then even if it's a half brick wall, that is much better than doing a full glass wall, and it's also much easier to clean for those of you who do not like cleaning glass than doing like a full glass wall. That is going to cost you a lot of money and a lot of time in maintenance. So that was another expensive mistake that we made. The next expensive mistake that we made was with our oven and microwave. When we designed our kitchen, we had our appliances already bought, and when we planned our kitchen, we had our oven on one side and then the microwave and the warmer drawer on the other side. Once we finished our kitchen and looked at the way the oven was placed on alongside the microwave, it just did not work. It made my I'm not OCD, but every time I looked at it, just the lines not lining up, it made me go crazy. And it was just a mistake that we could not live with forever. We tried to pretend like we could be fine with it, and over time we will get used to it, but it was just one of those things that we had to fix, and replacing those ovens was expensive. And I mean, the oven alone, it's like 18,000, and already we had like an oven and a microwave and a warmer drawer that we bought that were Bosch brand. And now when we're replacing with Whirlpool, we had to get three more appliances again to replace the ones that we had. But yeah, it was something that had to be done. So next time, if any of you are planning to do your kitchen, measure the size of your appliances. If you're planning to put them side by side, make sure that the sizes of them are correct, and also that the lines along them match up, especially if you are somebody that pays attention to detail. If you don't care about the details, it's fine. You'll have, because the microwave had like a slimmer panel compared to the oven. The oven sort of like had a panel that went like this, and the microwave had a panel that went like this. So you had this little bit of a gap here where the oven and the microwave did not line up. So even when you put in the warmer drawer, it was still not the same size of the oven that was on the other side. So it was just driving me crazy. So we ended up replacing the appliances in the kitchen, and that was fine. And while we are still on the issue of appliances in the kitchen, the one expensive mistake that we did was our paneled fridge. Don't get me wrong, I love the fact that we've got a fridge and a freezer that you cannot see that are hidden. But one thing I did not take into consideration was the layout of the fridge side. The freezer side is fine. I love having all these drawers because then I can separate all my meat into different products, or chicken in one side, beef in one side, all the other stuff in different drawers. It's nice. But on the fridge side, it's just too small for how I use the fridge. I thought that it would be enough space, but it's just not working. I'm used to my Samsung fridge that has like big space and big shelves where I can decide on how I lay things out in the fridge, and according to how I use it. So this one, the shelves in there are just so small that when you have leftovers and in containers, the containers just don't fit in the fridge. And if they fit in the fridge, then everything else doesn't fit in the fridge. So it is driving me nuts. So we are definitely going to have to add another big fridge in the pantry or somewhere in the house. If we don't put it in the pantry, we'll probably have to put it in the scullery just to allow us to have enough fridge space. But that is not something that we need to do right now. Probably when we move in here full time, it is something that we most likely will have to consider doing, because this fridge will definitely not work for a full family for us. And the fridge wasn't cheap. I mean, with a panel fridge, you buy the fridge and the freezer separately, and you're looking at close to 20,000 per appliance, and that is a lot of money. So given an option, I would send the fridge back, the fridge side back, and replace it with a bigger product, or one that has shelves that are much wider than what we have. But it's not something that we can do right now. We probably have to add on another fridge. Yeah, guys, those are the mistakes that cost us a lot of money in this house. And I hope you guys don't get into the same situation that we did, and you learn from the mistakes. And I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you did, like, share, and subscribe. And hope to see you all very soon in another one. Bye bye.